spiny dogfish has a fusiform body, meaning its body is tapered at both ends. This body form is helpful for efficient swimming. You can see the clear lateral line running across its body. The lateral line has tons of tiny pores used to sense movement and changes in water pressure, giving the shark a sense of distant touch. This shark actually has two dorsal fins, an anterior and a posterior. The shark has a heterocercal caudal fin. The top part of the caudal fin is larger than the bottom. This makes the shark tail act like a paddle, displacing lots of water and allowing it to accelerate and swim easy. Here you can see the pectoral fins and pelvic fins, which are used to help the shark with swimming and maneuvering around. You can easily identify the sex of a shark by looking at its underside. The presence of claspers indicates it's a male. You can see the collateral opening underneath them. The shark's snout is called its rostrum. You can see that the shark's mouth is located on its ventral side. The shark's nostrils are only used for smelling rather than breathing and smelling, like us. Here are the shark's eyes. If you look closely, you can see the iris. In the corner of its eye is the nictitating membrane, which is used to cover and protect the shark's eye when it's about to bite. And on the top of its head, you can see the spherical, which is used to help the shark breathe. It takes in oxygenated water, which brushes over the gills. Lastly, most prominently on the underside of the shark's rostrum are the ampullae of Lorenzini. You can see all the tiny pores. These tiny pores are used to help the shark sense electric fields. The peritoneum is the translucent membrane that can be seen here. It lines the inside of the body cavity. Sharks have a 3-lobed liver. The 2 larger lobes produce oil, which is used to help the shark stay buoyant, as the oil has a lower specific gravity than water. The oil is also used to preserve energy. The liver also produces bile, which is stored in the smaller 3rd lobe of the liver that contains the gallbladder. The muscular esophagus connects the oral cavity and the J-shaped stomach. The inner lining of the stomach is referred to as the mucosa. The stomach has rugae, which churn food into digestive juices. Near the end of the stomach is the spleen, which primarily stores red and white blood cells. At the end of the stomach is the pyloric sphincter, which regulates the passage of food into the intestine. The duodenum connects the stomach and the intestines, and the bile duct connects the gallbladder to the duodenum. The pancreas makes digestive enzymes, which enter the duodenum through the pancreatic duct. The valvular intestine is lined with rings and blood vessels. Inside is the spirovalve, which provides surface area for digestion and absorption. The colon is located in the posterior end of the body and narrows down to the cloaca, where waste exits the shark's body. To recap the digestive system, food enters the mouth, travels through the oral cavity into the esophagus, then into the stomach, which holds the food and both chemically and physically digests it. Then it passes through the pyloric sphincter, which is small and only allows fully digested food to pass through, and into the valvular intestine. The pancreas secretes digestive enzymes into the small intestine. Inside the small intestine is the spirovalve, which provides surface area that helps with absorption and digestion. After that, the waste travels through the colon and exits through the cloaca. The spiny dogfish has 5 gill slits. These lead into the gill pouches, which lead into the external gill slits. The gill rakers, seen here, filter and prevent food particles from exiting the pharynx, which leads to the esophagus into the peritoneal cavity. The gaps between each gill pouch are called branchial bars. You can see the gill filaments here. They are very red and covered in blood vessels. Water rushes over the gill filaments, and they extract dissolved oxygen from the water. They can use their spiracles to take water in and brush them over the filaments. The heart, located in the pericardial cavity, is comprised of two small lobed atrium and one large muscular ventricle. The atrium receive blood from the body and pump it to the ventricle, which then pumps it to the gills to be oxygenated and then sent throughout the body. The shark's kidneys are flattened and long and follow the shark's midline. In male sharks, the kidneys have two functions. The posterior end is used to make and move urine. The second function is related to the reproductive process. The paired testes are located on the shark's anterior end. Sperm travels from the testes to the kidneys in these efferent ductils, and then into the seminal vessels. The shark's brain has three parts. First, the forebrain, which houses the olfactory bulbs, which are responsible for the shark's sense of smell. It also contains the thalamus, hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. Next is the midbrain, which has two prominent optic lobes that are responsible for sight. Last is the hindbrain, which houses the cerebellum, which controls motor function and movement. The medulla oblongata, which is also located in the hindbrain, is responsible for cardiac, respiratory, and autonomic functions. We didn't quite have enough time to expose all of the parts of the brain, so the arrows are pointed towards a general area of where these parts would be.